Here, Flip Anything USA. So I was in Florida recently, and I want to talk about two things. I'll try to stay on subject here. One is you'll see that when things get tough for, like, say, upper middle class, because they a lot of times are the ones that also suffer because they're self-employed. They're entrepreneurs. They own construction companies, they own businesses and such. Well, the second home is the first thing to go. A second home, second car, the extra car you don't need. Like Ben Mahler getting rid of his Batmobile, or somebody else maybe getting rid of their Bat, or their Mercedes. I used to have a little two-door Mercedes, and actually I bought it in 2009 when all of a sudden they dropped about 40, 50 grand. But so there's going to be opportunities like that for cars if you're in the market for a car. But really, this is really a unique time because we're starting to suffer like we did in the 70s. Now, I wasn't an investor in the 70s. I was an investor in the beginning of the 80s. But I was a kid in the 70s, and I watched my folks get unemployed and re-employed and unemployed and re-employed. And, and I saw the struggles around me. I was in a blue-collar family, and with and surrounded by those kinds of kids as well. And you'd see people having to move. You'd see all these kinds of things, and that's happening now. And somebody asked me today, a guy that's probably about 10, 15 years older than me. He's actually owned almost as much real estate as I do too. He's actually been quite successful. Owned a chain of auto parts stores, and we were talking, and he was saying, he said, "Well, Tom, what do you think is going to happen?" And it's difficult to say what's going to happen because when times get tough and things get bad, what you'll find is you can never know what the government's going to do, right? They kind of pick the winners, they bail out, they do things that are unexpected. They, like I said, they built the bank. They bailed out the bank of Silicon Bank, and they weren't even FDIC insured, and they got bailed out. So again, they compromise the rules and they do things that are unexpected, and so sometimes they'll print money, they do all kinds of stuff. If they would just let the losers fail, you know what I mean? In other words, when they bailed out a lot of people in 2009, a lot of big institutions, handful of them they didn't, and so they kind of picked the winners, and so you really are never quite 100% sure. Plus, there's all this green bullshit, all this there's all kinds of money slated for green stuff that's a huge waste of money, and but that's already slated. So there's certain areas that will benefit from those spendings. But back on subject, what I was going to say is one thing I think you can be fairly certain of is that commercial properties are going to lose a lot of value. They're going to go down. Particularly the newer ones, that are more leveraged. You're going to see people having trouble hanging on to those. If they were built 3 or 4 years ago, and their notes coming due, and they're not going to be able to operate, with the level of mortgage that they have, adding another 3 or 4% to that rate, and so that's kind of how things collapse, right? Things become unaffordable, or unsustainable. And so, and I don't see the government. The government doesn't really have any control, right? I mean, they're not gonna get the rates lowered. And then it would just make matters worse in one respect. So I'm looking forward to it. I tell you, everybody. I was gonna say, just squeeze everybody value you can out of the properties that you do own. And look, I just bought another property 2 days ago. I'm confident I'm making $150,000 on that property, and it's one I'll probably sit on for a while. I always say, listen to somebody's advice. You need to see what they do. So I bought 4 houses in the last 6 months, 8 months maybe. Sold one of them, and I'm keeping the other 3 right now. There's a good margin. I bought them right, but that's my hedge, right? The reason I can afford to hold on to them. If I paid full price for them, they wouldn't even pencil. But because I bought them substantially under market, they pencil. And so that's why I say you never stop investing. And nobody here watching, nobody should stop investing. It just has to pencil. It has to make sense. You got to be able to have a little roadmap with that property to understand that, okay, for whatever reason you feel confident it's going to stay full. That's important. And then for whatever reason, you know that the payment is going to be fixed at X. Then you can breathe. People listen. Business people love certainty. And the government loves uncertainty. So that's really a huge difference. That's why a lot of times when the government passes a break of some sort, they pass it short term so that they can basically create a reason to donate to them 18 months later or 3 years later. But you need that certainty. So a lot of times something passes, you go, okay, great, we can count on this being this way for a certain amount of time. Well, we don't really have that kind of certainty right now. With the interest rates, they really have no lock on that unless you're smart enough to get a lot of fixed rates in place, which is what I did, all my students did, which, by the way, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, enjoy the content here. If you enjoy learning about making money in real estate from somebody that actually has done it, then you're in the right place. But that's all I just want to tell you is, real important thing right now is absolutely keep your overhead as low as you possibly can. And even if you're not hurting, pretend you are and start saving like you're hurting now. Start cutting things back like you're hurting. Like, in other words, don't wait until you're hurt. Don't wait until the axe drops. Get ahead of it. That's what smart people do. That's like me and the folks in my class. We got our interest rates fixed. We got our we got rid of the properties that we wanted. I tell everybody, if you've got property you want to get rid of in the next 2 or 3 years, you better do it now. Chapter 27 of my book, leapfrogging. Get ahead of it. Leapfrog. Get ahead. Sell it a little cheaper, a little early, because the prices are going to catch down with you, right? They're going to get down to whatever you sold it for. It'll be just a couple of months, they'll come down. So, it's just being smart with your money, and you don't have to be a genius. It just takes common sense. But if you pay attention to what's around you, you can do extremely well, and that's what I encourage my students to do, and that's what I'm doing. Like I said, I went and bought 3 houses here, and I bought 3 of these 4 houses just in the last 2 or 3 months. So, maybe 4 months. But like I say, as long as you're buying under market relative to the values that you're sitting in, you really can't lose as long as you buy under market. Now, some of us have a little bigger bandwidth. We can afford, maybe even go negative on some things. We can afford to carry costs. We can afford to, we can anticipate, well, if things get bad, I can still deal with it. You know what I mean? That's, you have to be, you're the only one that knows your finances. So you have to be the judge. In other words, I've made good money with my hands as a carpenter and as a cabinet maker and a builder. And so I've had times where I bought properties and, I bought land for, that I expected to, glare terrible. I bought properties knowing that I was going to be negative on them for a while, that I intended to build on. And so, but that was part of doing business. It's just having that in place and knowing that, okay, well, by the time I sell this, I'll cover this, the money I'm making on that, I'll do this, but then maybe times are rough, and it's like, okay, I better start cutting, sell these lots, and to people that maybe don't anticipate as well as I do. So I'm at my destination here, but I want to say, never stop investing. Just, remember, easy to do, hard to undo. Easy to do, hard to undo. Don't do anything that's going to be hard to undo, and you save yourself a lot of grief, you save yourself a lot of money, and you probably get richer a lot quicker if you do that. See you later.